Welcome, welcome. This is Lessons for the Journey. The purpose of this podcast is to share insights and information on women's wellness, understanding our whys, and the lessons that inspire us to take positive action within ourselves, our families, and our communities. Our topics focus on women's wellness, seeing through a metaphysical lens, sharing spiritual insights, highlighting journey lessons, and building healthy relationships. I am your host, Dr. Hetheru, and I share this space with engaging co-hosts, guests, inspired topics every Friday at 12 noon for a transformative 1-hour experience here on Podcastic Live and Facebook. You can expect deep, thought-provoking conversations on self-discovery and personal growth, special guests, locations, events, people, polls, and thoughts, co-hosts sharing wisdom and life-changing insights, a powerful blend of spiritual, metaphysical, and wellness lessons, and tools and strategies to help you elevate your mind, your body, and your spirit. Our show is produced by Chantel Mosley of Podcastic Studios. Our co-host, Ma'at Seba, Mary E. Bayou, Nicole S. Miller, and special appearances by Dr. Calvin T. Mann. If you are seeking clarity, healing, personal empowerment, this podcast for you. So we need for you to tune in, turn up, get connected. And so before you get connected, I want you to take a moment. I need for you to grab some of your tools. First thing I want you to grab today is your water. We need you to hydrate. We need for you to move your body into a space of readiness to receive information and resources. And we also need for you to get your journal, your notebook, and your pen, because you are going to want to take some of these notes down and savor them. Like, take it in, make it a part of you, take what you need from it, and set the rest to the side for later. And so I want you to tune in, turn up, and today we have some prompt questions. So I'm going to give you our number. Please call in if you have some questions or you want to share. And we are talking solutions to how are you getting through your pain, your anger, right? Okay, so I want you to call us at 810-560-0658. I'm going to give it to you again. It's 810-560-0658. And our producer, Chantel, will make sure that it pops up when I forget to say it. So we have decided, because we had so much content and so much conversation around the consequences of pain and anger on the mind, body, and spirit, that my sister Ma'at suggested that we have to do a part 2 and a part 3. So we're going to look at how we can move this around. We're adding some content. I wanted to talk about some of the questions that you should be asking yourself through this process to really do a self-check to see if the consequences of pain and anger are impacting your mind, body, and spirit. But today we're going to focus on just the body. Now, all of it is interconnected, don't get me wrong, so you'll probably hear some of the interconnection in this conversation. But I'm so glad to be in the studio with my sisters, Ma'at Seba, who, I always pitch it to her because she has such a wealth of information and she has such amazing gifts and skills in this area that, she's invaluable. And so also in our studio is our producer, Chantel Mosley, who always tunes in and gives us some of her insight and her wisdom. And so I just want you to know who's in the studio with us today. And we typically start off our journey with our Ma'at memos. And so we want you to know that you can get your set of Ma'at memos as well. And so she's going to talk about that at the end. So make sure you have your paper pencil available. I am going to pull my card, my memo today for my insight to kick us off. So I'm going to go to the middle. I'm going to the middle today. I went to the end. I went to the top. Now I'm pulling from the middle. Let's see. So Chantel is pulling hers too. Ooh. Okay. This is a heavy hitter. It says, be sure that your feet are in the right place before you stand firm. Ooh, I haven't seen this. Wow, what a self-check. So what this card means to me is, sometimes we take a position on an idea or a incident or something that we might hear or see, especially in this time in social media, and we may take a stand on something but not have the full understanding of what's at stake or what the story is or even the backstory. And I can look back on my journey and see where I was so steadfast in what I thought I saw or I thought I knew or understood, when I recognized that I really did not have the full story enough to say that for a fact I know that, right? And we have a tendency to do that. So this is a reminder that get more details. Everything is not what it seems on the surface. So this is a reminder to explore before I open my mouth and put my foot in it. So thank you.
Mine is raise your children to be reflections of God. And I feel like that is a very essential thing to teach, especially with the world being how it is now and people, kind of going a little haywire and things like that. It's definitely important to teach your child and train up a child so that they won't, depart astray away when they get older, and knowing that they have a relationship with God for themselves.
Yes.
Because my prayers and protection can only go so far, and then, spills over into them having a connection themselves. So.
Wow, that's insightful.
So mine piggybacks off of yours. It says, try to see things from the other person's point of view. And we're always quick to judge, but we're judging from one side, and it's the side you think, and it's what the other person is telling you. So there's so many different reasons why they have the perspective that they have. And you can agree to disagree. Just because they say something doesn't mean that you have to agree with it. But if you're in a conversation or if you're in a debate, just stop. Instead of needing to be heard, listen and just see. Maybe if you can see where they're coming from. And if you can, great. Try and find that balance point in the conversation. And if you can't, then leave it. It is what it is. They're entitled to their opinion just like you are, regardless as to whether you think it's right, wrong, or in between. So I think it's very important if we did that globally, this world will look a little bit different than it does now.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Again, you can get your Ma'at memos. Can you guys see that? You can get your own set of Ma'at memos. You're going to make sure you share how people can get their set, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, all right. Because it's just an awesome tool, and if you need some perspective, I know some people use other types of oracle cards, to gain some insight about your day. But here's a way to gain insight into how you think at any given moment, which I think is important to do. Important reflection.
Your phone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know I turned it off.
Oh, you turned it off. Okay.
So I'm going to go over a review of our topic, and then we're going to kind of jump into our part 2, which is really dealing with the body. So anger and pain are often seen as separate struggles, but for women, they are deeply connected. Women experience chronic pain at higher rates than men, yet are also more likely to have their pain dismissed, minimized, or misaligned as emotional. That level of dismissing builds anger, and that anger intensifies our pain. Together, they form a self-perpetuating cycle that impacts mental clarity, physical health, and spiritual well-being. We don't address it by changing our habits. If we don't address it by changing our habits, behaviors, and frequency, it can become a vicious cycle, especially for women. For women, pain and anger are not just private struggles. Hear this. They are a public health concern as well as spiritual battles. So when we are upset and angry and carry it, we become a public health risk. That is not just to ourselves, our families, the community, the workplace, because it all is carried with us. And so addressing them creates a pathway back to wholeness. a mind that is steady, a body that is cared for, and a spirit that is connected and resilient. Whoo, I know that's a lot, but I really want us to understand, because so many of us are dealing with health challenges and health concerns, and we never seem to connect that to our anger or even our pain that we have been carrying. Also, as we talked about in our last episode, that we talked about and carrying our generational pain and our generational anger. It's true that we do have some things to be upset about. We have some things to be angry about, but it does not help us to carry it for long periods of time or to pass that same anger and pain down to the next generations. And so we are talking about today the body and how we are going to help talk through it, but also apply solutions. Now, this may not be, it's not a one-time solution. There is a resource, a toolbox that you need, because sometimes the pain may be about relationships, or it may be about decisions that you made, or may be about your children or your friendships or your sense of self and identity. It could be any number of those things and more. You need a toolbox. We all need a toolbox. You need to have somewhere to go to pull your resources. And I know a lot of us, we talk about, some of the affirmations, some of the things that are out there as tools. I'm going to pitch this to my aunt before we get started. My aunt, when you think about tools to help with anger or pain, what comes to your mind?
Well, typically the first thing women do is cry, which is excellent. Crying really does release energy and tension from the body. Breathing techniques, that is something that's not really taught, but is extremely, extremely, extremely powerful. Sometimes, like in some schools, I've even watched videos on TV when the police have people that are in a lot of anxiety because the situation is stressful. They're like, okay, stop, breathe. Mm-hmm. Breathing releases energy from the cells of the body, from the muscles and the tissues. So we're not really taught about breathing. We don't even breathe properly. We don't breathe deep enough. We shallow breathe, and we breathe from our chest instead of from our, what they call the dantian. So learning different breathing techniques is extremely important. Like they say, okay, breathe and count to 10. Stop yourself. That's really important. Separating yourself from the situation. Either go for a walk. If you need to go lay down, go in a different room, take a nap, sit down and make yourself a cup of tea or coffee or whatever. So putting yourself in a space where you just stop and release what you're feeling. Piggybacking it off of somebody that you trust, somebody that loves you and somebody that you trust. If you have a circle of other women, that is extremely helpful. A friend that you can bounce or talk to. If you have to go to counseling, if you have a counselor, speak to the counselor. One thing that's helpful for me is burning my incense and sage, lighting a candle, being around water. Even if I could just see a picture of the water, listening to spiritual music on my phone. So those are some of the things that could be done immediately. More long term is again finding either a group or developing a method, somebody to help you with a method on your A to Z. When you get in a certain space, train yourself to do this first, then do that, and then do that, to teach you how to bring yourself down in a situation and not react off of emotions, not to react off of pain. And unfortunately, our response to anger and pain sometimes is learned behavior. So if you are raised in a family and they throw things, or they, start throwing hands, or get violent, then that's going to be your first reaction because that's the way you're taught. So identifying how you were raised and how you were taught to handle your emotions, and then and find a healthy way to do it. So I think that's a start.
That's awesome. Thank you. So I want to share with you some of this is, a lot of this is research that I've done, because I think it's important to know what happens with us when it's outside of just us. That these are typically things that happen with us as women, and also sometimes it's Black women that are different, that may impact how we are navigating this time in our lives when we're looking at and addressing anger and pain. So why it matters: when anger, pain, or frustration are suppressed, they can manifest as chronic physical conditions, and Black women disproportionately bear these burdens due to systemic stress factors. Recognizing these patterns through reflective questions, healing practices, and seeking affirming care can help break the cycle and reclaim both health and wholeness. So we're going to have a few reflective questions coming up. So I'm going to give you the number again to call in if you want to share an experience. If you also want to add how you got through it, is really important to us too. So the number is 810-560-0658. Again, that's 810-560-0658. Okay, and so these are some of the experiences and some of the ways that you can look at recovering from it. So the first one is, I feel tension, tightness, or heaviness in my body when I hold on to anger or stress. Where do I usually feel it? And so some of the examples are that women tend to hold it in their shoulders, your chest, and your jaw. I have this, I recognize that I have this new habit of clenching my teeth when I get angry or frustrated, and I didn't realize that I was doing it before. Sometimes when you go to the dentist, they'll tell you that you've been grinding or something on your teeth, and look at, start to pay attention to when that happens. I had never done that before. This is new this year for me, and I'm going to associate that with being a mom, releasing a young man into the world. So I realized that I've been doing that at least the last week. I've been aware of it, and I'm saying, what's happening with you? So I noticed, because my jaw's getting really tight, and I've been just holding it like that, and I'm recognizing that that's something I need. One, I need to stop that, but two, that this is a trigger response, that I'm not using my other tools. This is a new situation that I'm experiencing. So I have a new habit that I have adopted. I don't want that habit, so I'm going to go back to breathing, which I've been doing that a lot more. But I recognize that this is something new because I'm going through something new. And so I want to encourage you that if you are noticing new habits on how you're trying to cope, to pay attention to it, so that the consequence of how you're coping in this way can be shifted and changed in a way that's more healthy. It says, so the question for you is, what does that tell me about how my body is protecting or warning me? What does that tell me about how my body is protecting or warning me? And so, like I said, I realized that I'm going through a new experience. So the way that I'm having, or my body was coping to tell me that, I'm in this crisis mode, and this is how it's playing out for me. Normally, it had been the tension in my shoulders. I carry it there. But now I have this new habit that I'm undoing. So I don't want to make that a habit. So it's only been that I've recognized it. It's only been maybe in the last 10 days, which is the first cycle that things become a habit. So it's 10 days, then it's 21 days, and it's 63 days for it to become a habit, a lifestyle, not a habit. After 10 days, you start to form a habit. 21 days, it's an entrenched habit. 63 days, it's a lifestyle. I do not want that to be my lifestyle or how I handle it. I want to be aware, and I want to change the way that I'm responding. And so that is part of my goal and what I am working on this for this time in this season of life for me. So any thoughts, Ma?
You know, when I was listening to you, I was thinking, remember I said to just kind of stop. When you're in the midst of something, just stop. And evaluate. When you turn it into a practice, to be able to catch yourself when you're in that space. Stop, distance yourself from it, and then start to ask yourself, what am I upset about? We get upset about stuff that don't have anything to do with us. It could be two family members getting into it, and you're upset about their situation that doesn't have anything to do with you. So, evaluate what am I really upset about? Is it something that directly pertains to me? Is it something that I need to resolve within myself? These are some of the questions you ask yourself. Excuse me, like, what triggered me in this situation? So that separation thing, going somewhere, go for a walk, and you start to just ask yourself questions like, really, what's going on? Where am I feeling? Why am I upset? When did I get triggered? What was it that triggered me? Who was it that triggered me? And how did I respond to it? Sometimes we don't respond, which is why we're in the situation that we're in, is because we hold it in. So when you say you were clenching your jaws, you're not speaking. It's something that should have been said, wanted to say, couldn't say.
Right.
Because it shows up in the jaws and the mouth as communication.
Right.
So maybe you couldn't say what you wanted to say when you needed to say it. So,
or I didn't yell. I didn't keep escalating, so that's why. Because I'm intentional about watching my escalation. And so I know that that's really one of the things that I continue to work on. And when I am reacting and in the middle of responding. So my response is to go quiet, which is why, that makes sense to me. So that's why I know I clenched my mouth, because I'm trying not to react, but I wanted to respond and not internalize that, yes. So I did increase my exercise. I did increase my exercise and my stretching. So I know that's helping me, because I have another outlet, and I do that in the evening when I'm calming down, when I'm going through my day, and I can start to pay attention to what's happening with my body, the changes that are happening. And I do recognize too that the stretching has been really helpful. Because I know that I can feel the tension in my body. That's one of the reasons why I made the commitment to myself to stretch before I go to bed. Like, that's the last thing that I do. So that's been helpful.
I think it's important too, in a situation, ask yourself on a scale from 1 to 10, is this a 10? Because sometimes we put things at a 10 and it's not. It's like a 1.
Right.
If that.
Right.
So I have taught myself how to do that as well. It's like, is it worth me getting upset about? Sometimes the anger that we hold, I tell people, let's say it's a family member. You got into it with a family member. And on a scale from 1 to 10, they might say it's an 8. So then I'll ask, okay, if that person that you're angry at got into an accident and was near death, on a scale from 1 to 10, would it be then? And they either say, no, it wouldn't be on the scale. Exactly. So if it's not on the scale then don't put it on the scale now.
Wow. That's insightful. Insightful. So here's one of the prompts. When you start to become aware. And this is another way to become aware. So it's to slowly scan your body with awareness, which is what I did because my jaw started hurting more. Pause and visualize the tension dissipating as you breathe into those areas. Notice any emotion that surfaces. Is it frustration, sorrow, fatigue? How might now acknowledging this physical sign help you honor your feelings and begin releasing them? And so I went through this indirectly as I just shared with you. So what I want you to do right now, if anybody is out there and listening and you're feeling the pain or anger or tension in your body, use some of the techniques we just talked about. And if you are open to calling in and sharing which of those emotions that you might be experiencing and which of the tools you think might work, or what have you done in the past, or what do you do currently, and that we are sharing some new tools, which of them are you willing or ready to share? So give us a call at 810-560-0658 if you have a unction to share. Because how we grow is we share this story. We share our lessons for the journey. That's why this show is here, because we're sharing the lessons for the journey. It means that we have been there, we still may be there, or working our way out of there, right? So it is a space that we hold in this intention for you, which is why we share what we know, okay? Okay, so the number 2, here's another reflection question. When I suppress my pain, whether emotional or physical, what symptoms tend to emerge? Headaches, digestive upsets, sleep issues. So headaches, is on a scale. It can go up to migraines, right? Digestive upsets, your stomach gets upset, you get acid reflux, and you don't have an appetite. So those are things that could be related to digestive upsets. And then sleep issues. Your sleep patterns are off. You're not getting full rest, meaning your body is not allowed to heal itself. If you don't reach a deep sleep, that is where your body heals, and where your bones stretch and your muscles tear, and you don't want to be awake for those things to happen. So we have been granted an opportunity to sleep through those things. That's why when you're going through certain medical procedures, they put you to sleep, right? So that you don't experience the pain associated, the awareness of the pain associated with whatever procedure you're going through, right? Understand that your body is already designed to do that. So, and that is the space of healing. That's why they induce comas. That's why those things happen, right? So I want you to consider how your body is already responding to you and what you need. What might my body be trying to communicate when it speaks through discomfort? What might my body be trying to communicate when it speaks through discomfort? Any thoughts on this, Ma?
What I was, when you were reading, I was thinking about excess, anything in excess. You're talking about headaches, digestive upset, sleep issues. Your emotional state can also put you in a space of depression. Mm-hmm. And so you'll have an excess. Some people can't sleep. Some people sleep all day. They're depressed because they sleep all day. Some people have digestive issues. Maybe they don't eat, and some people excessively eat. So the sensations, the signals that your body is giving you is an indication as to what's going on. I wish I had brought the book. I'll bring it next time. It's a book called Louise. It's written by Louise Hay. You Can Heal Your Life. And in that book, she lists the different illnesses and diseases and the body part that's associated with it. And so that's a good start. If it's the neck, or let's say, for instance, you're not being flexible. The knees, you're not bending. Something with the feet, moving forward, not moving forward. So the body part that you're having an issue in is an indication on what's going on with you as well. I'm going to bring that list with us next week, and that will help to guide us through this. So
okay, that'd be awesome. Mm-hmm.
So to me, anything in excess is also a signal. And again, stop and ask yourself, like, what am I upset about? I didn't have that backache. Now my back hurts. Also, too, this just popped in my mind. People that are empathic, you can pick up on other people's stuff. And you can feel angry, but it's not even your stuff. It's somebody else's stuff. So again, being able to discern, are these emotions really mine, or are they somebody else's? Especially if you're a woman, a mother, and you have a significant other, people that you are in direct, close contact with regularly. Discerning if it's really your stuff, and you're emotionally taking on somebody else's stuff and trying to deal with that, and it's not even yours, but because you don't realize it, because you're empathic. So that's something to just pay attention to.
That's good. Empaths have such an important job. It's such an important job and responsibility. And you have everything you need in you to help you navigate it. You just have to tap into it. And so that's an important role to bring up, especially at this time, especially with the anger, because one of the things that we're seeing and that this time in our country is bringing out is that people can over sympathize with a situation, and then that situation then becomes, and the more you're connected to it, because we keep seeing these messages over and over in the media, and you find people getting short. You might be in the store and somebody just seems so angry or so impatient. People driving on the streets, so angry, so impatient. You don't move right away at a light and somebody's cussing you out and blowing the horn and leaning. All of that anger, it can trigger anger. And that's another way. It's almost like it just jumps from one person to the next, to the next, to the next. And if we're not careful, you can get caught up in that cycle and you not even understand why you're feeling that way. Because somebody was leaning on the horn, because somebody didn't move right away, or they cut you off. Like, people have gotten into really serious altercations because of that response. Or, I'm sorry, that's a reaction. Because of the reaction. A response implies that you thought through something. A reaction implies that you didn't think through something. So let me make that clear. Mm-hmm. So when you're reacting, you can react from somebody else's anger also, and not recognize that that's what happened. Because they were so angry and they were on a certain level, that energy, you matched their energy and you went either that high or higher. Right? And we have to be really, really mindful, because it does trigger you to balance and equal the amount of reaction that somebody else has. And we see that a lot of times with how violence is perpetuated. Somebody, has misunderstood somebody else, and it caused a reaction. They didn't take time to think about it because you're just reacting emotionally. And so if you're not dealing with your additional pain or anger, it just compounds that reaction. And then it sets you off into you, and sometimes others who are watching, your children are watching, they get set off from that too. The people who care and love about you, especially, you have, they call them the ride or die people mm-hmm. in your life. Mm-hmm. If you have an issue, they have an issue. And so, we need to be more mindful that people are reacting and matching that anger as well. Mm-hmm. Even when it's not their stuff. They're just over sympathizing with somebody else. And I love you. I'm mad that you feel this way. Now I'm mad and you're mad and we're mad together, and nobody's doing anything to de-escalate or heal. And so we need to make sure that we're using these tools. I think that's really important. Thanks for that, Ma'at. All right. So the question was, what might my body be trying to communicate when it speaks through discomfort? Discomfort can show up in many, many different ways. And so when I think of discomfort, I think of like the tension in my shoulder or my jaw. That was discomfort for me. It was a signal for me to check myself, right? Not to just stay there and say, okay, let me set up an appointment with the dentist. Like, what am I doing? What am I responding to? Right? And so I think that's an important part to connecting and understanding your body and knowing your body and how it responds or is giving you the message of a warning or a trigger. It is designed, pain and discomfort is designed to get your attention. Mm-hmm. And if you are not paying attention, it starts to settle into your body, into your organs, into your cells, into your bones, right? We have to be more mindful that this is a part of the process and it's not designed to harm us. It's designed to awaken us. So I think that's an important piece to understand too. And so the prompt for this question is, reflect on a specific moment when you brushed off your pain. What physical signs followed? Perhaps a migraine, a stomach ache, or a restless night. What messages might your body be offering about boundaries, self-compassion, and unmet needs? Start to think about, because remember, the pain and the discomfort is a signal to get your attention. So if you keep brushing it off or saying, oh, it's not important, I'll deal with that later, don't let later be never. Mm-hmm. When it becomes never, we see an increase of women experiencing breast-related issues. We see an increase of women experiencing I was going to say your sacral chakra, that you start feeling sexual issues come up with your sexual organs. You find all kinds of things happening with your body when you're dealing with unhealed relationships. All of those things when you're having constant throat issues and irritation. When you're the headaches especially, to give attention to those. What are you thinking? What are you thinking that may not be in alignment with who you are? Like there are all these different ways that we're uncomfortable or experiencing pain that's telling us what we need to do or telling us that we need to do something different. Mm-hmm. And that's really, it's essential that we get to that point because we are powerful. When we talk about the words that we use, the things that we say, we are powerful beings constantly creating circumstances in our own lives, in our own journey. We have to be mindful and the triggers that come along with it. And, there are so many examples of what that means. We've seen this with a lot of rap and hip hop artists who have spoken a lot of violence and end up facing either more violence or violence that may change the direction of their life if they are still living. And so there's constant examples of that. It matters. This matters on your journey. It matters what your children hear you say. It matters. And so be mindful and question those areas that you feel the discomfort and especially the pain. Mm-hmm. Any thoughts, Ma'at?
This made me think about, I was 27 in a toxic marriage. I had 3 small children, 4 dogs, and I was constantly having UTIs. And of course, I didn't know why. I just, it was just something that happened. I should have paid attention to because I was getting them like 4 times a year. Mm-hmm. And then at one point in time, I woke up and I thought that I had to use the bathroom and it came out straight blood. Mm. So I went to the emergency room and they sent me to the doctor. The doctor examined me. I ended up having cancer in my bladder. Cancer is directly related to anger and resentment. Mm. So as I stated before, you can clearly see why I had some anger and resentment there. But back then, there weren't methods to resolve. I didn't know anything. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have a group of people that I could talk to. I didn't even know anybody that had cancer back then. So I was just like a lone wolf trying to figure it all out by myself, not realizing until later that the cancer was directly related to anger. Mm. and not being resolved. And so I hold everything in. And when I talk about Louise Hay's book, what is the name I said? You can have it.
You can heal your body.
I can't think of the name, but
you said you can heal your life. I think that's what you said. Mm-hmm. So bladder issues were directly related to being pissed off all the time. Mm. But I wore it well. I did what I had to do. Mothers have to do what they have to do. I had to work. I had to do all of these things. So I didn't have time to stop and deal with me and what's going on. Of course, I know better now. But how many signals did my body need to give me that something's wrong? I mean, those are red lights, red neon flashing lights. Hello, right. There's something wrong, and it's getting serious. It's not normal to have a UTI, and for sure it's not normal to have them 4 or 5 times a year. So, and then there were other health issues in between that. So, I think us dealing with what we're not dealing with is the most important thing that we need to focus energies on every single day.
every day at the end of the day, whether if you're a journaler, then journal. What's going on? How did I handle it? I don't know how to handle it. How do I find out how to find somebody to assist me in learning how to handle and dissect what's really going on with me mostly, and come to a resolution and give me a healthy way to navigate through this situation and the situations to come, and give me a method on how to deal with this. We all really do need to do that. And then the more you do, exactly. Mm-hmm. The more you come up with your method and your way, then your life is guaranteed to change.
Absolutely. And thank you. Thank you for that. And sharing, because again, these are lessons for the journey. We are sharing lessons and tools that we use, we know that work. And it doesn't mean that we haven't, that these are the only ones. You can continue to explore, because it's going to be unique to you. But here is a start of your toolbox, your journal. That's why we encourage you to write it down. The things that resonate with you, write it down so you won't forget. Go back and listen to our podcast. You can find our episodes, well, I guess up to 30 days, but you can find our episodes either on Podcastic, or look for our episodes on my YouTube channel. So you can find me at Dr. Hetheru, Personal Change Coach. That is my YouTube channel. You can go back and see all of the episodes and some of the workshops and important clips that I think are going to be helpful to help you find your way into new tools and some support. I think we're going to take a minute and pause so that we can, I want you to see that there's a new movement. Emmy Apparel is establishing a new movement called She Can. And it is a reminder that you can heal, you can grow, you can advance, you can write the book, start the business, you can have a family, you can find your mate, you can have a healthy relationship, you can run a marathon. Whatever you set your mind to do, using new tools and a new mindset, renew yourself and your mind. This is what we do. This is how we get connected as sisters and connect that energy together. She can, and she can too. So I want to share that message with you. It's launching August 31st. Super exciting day happening all around. My aunt got some stuff going on. I'm not going to say that out loud because it sounds like it's already on tilt. But please get connected with the She Can. And we're going to play that commercial. We're going to come back and share some more tools with you. Thank you.
She tells all of her children that they must solve problems. She explains the power and the dynamic that she carries throughout life, the impact that she holds in this world. She Can Too, by Emmy Apparel. She can run. She can hoop. She can lead. She can love. There are not many things that she can't do. But one thing's for sure. Her power is unapologetic, and her work is relentless. On August 31st, Emmy Apparel drops She Can Too.
She can.
All right.
She can heal. She does not have to go long-term experiencing the dis-ease, discomfort, and pain. You no longer have to do that. You got a tool. You got a resource. You got 2 powerful sisters in here. You got 3 powerful voices in this space right now. Chantel has a podcast. You want to say a little bit about that before we kick back up?
Yes. So every Thursday at 1 p.m., I do have One Step Closer here on Podcastic Network, and it allows people to come on, share their testimony, as well as share mine as well, and to be able to heal together, heal through each other's stories. And it did make me think of kind of just how my body reacted earlier on in the stages before I knew I did have an autoimmune condition. I just felt extremely tired, extremely exhausted, but it wasn't anything that I felt like was, out of the norm, because I've been tired before. But this was like an exhaustion versus, I'm just tired or I'm sleepy. So that's when I knew something wasn't right. And then too, not just being able to get something out of the refrigerator. Like my lift strength kind of was, impaired. So those are some of the signs that I started to know that, something wasn't right.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
We typically, women and especially mothers, no diss to anybody else, but especially mothers, you can have wake up in the morning and just like feel like crap. You just don't have it in you. But you got to push through. You got to get the kids up. You got to get them ready. You got to get them to school. You got to make them something to eat. And we push our stuff to the back constantly. And that can lead to an illness or disease as well by not addressing it. If you feel off, something's off. So you do have to do all of these things as a mother, as a wife or a significant other, or whatever your duties are. Maybe you have parents at home that you're taking care of. So we still have to do all of those things, but don't put yourself last. And if you do, only for a few minutes, but address yourself before the day is out.
Yeah.
You have to love on you, because these people that depend on you, they depend on you. So take care of yourself. I was asked a question once. If you had to choose between, nobody has any shoes. Kids don't have shoes. You don't have any. If you had to choose between buying yourself a pair of shoes and buying shoes for the children, which one would you pick? I said, of course, my babies. They said, no, you get yourself the shoes first, because they depend on you. You have to take care of you, because they're depending on you taking care of you so you can take care of them.
Right. And that's what every time you get on the plane, that's one of their messages, right? Put your mask on you first. Yeah, and it's much the same. It's much the same philosophy, because you can't help somebody else if you're not functioning.
Absolutely.
And so, but we, again, many of us tend to make those levels of sacrifice. It's not the sacrifice; it's the amount of time you're in that sacrifice. And so, I just want to share this, because this is one of the spaces I think that we have to be connected to. We know about energetically about things that are happening. We have more language around what's happening with frequency and vibration and all those things. I just want to reiterate that our frequency is where we are. Our vibration is how long we stay there. And so when it comes to discomfort and dis-ease, your frequency might be on a certain level, but the length of time that you stay there is what starts to impact your body. It's the amount of time you're there, because your frequency can go up and down with how you feel, the music you listen to, the people around you, the aromas that are like the food. Just really, I love food. So when I smell something baking, it's like, yes. I mean, I know my frequency is high, and it'll stay high as long as that scent is in the air, and I have my own rich, deep chocolate chip cookies that's warm. Right. But then after it's gone, what's my state? I want another cookie. I want to stay in that good frequency. I want to stay there longer. This is kind of how some of our addictions start too, right? Because you want to have the escape or the release or relief, but staying in there longer periods of time keeps that feeling coming back over and over and over again, and we get stuck there. And so and you talked about that as being, the excess in terms of behaviors and things like that. So be mindful, because even in that addictive nature starts to break down your body. And so where we have those spaces where we have addiction, whether it's shopping, whether it's sex, whether it's manipulation, whether it's food, what all of those different spaces can go to excess, become addictive, and have an impact on your body, because we're always looking for balance. Our goal should always be balance, right? Being able to understand what's happening, and our bodies are already set up to do that. And I don't want to go too far with that, but just to start this process, we need for you to have tools. We need for you to hear and recognize your signals. What is your body telling you? And we need you to do your best to move toward balance, healing, and wellness. And you do not have to do this alone. You do not have to do it alone. Okay. And so this last prompt, it says, if I allow myself to fully feel anger or pain, even just for a moment, how would my body respond? Could releasing it bring relief, warmth, or clarity? And what might that reveal about my path to healing? And so the prompt is create a gentle space. So that's soft light, supportive posture, comforting music. Breathe deeply. These are all the things my aunt just shared with us. And allow yourself to feel without judgment. Judgment is good, bad, right, or wrong. Putting a label on something and on a label on how you feel. Notice any release may be tears or warmth. Another part of the advice that Mara started us out with, the tears, how important they are. What insights arise about your body truly needs to heal? So as we think about what we're feeling, remember response and react. That's an important distinction. But what you do after you recognize what's happening with your body, what's happening with your thoughts. We're talking about body right now, so it's really important to focus in because you have the tools there. It's telling you, I need for you to address this. And then you listen. Listen to your body. Listen to your body. When Ma talked about her situation, that she knew her body was speaking to her, but she kept prioritizing other things ahead of her body, right? And so be mindful that in this journey, that the lesson is to take care of you. Do not stay in that space for prolonged periods of time. So we are...
Can I
go ahead.
add something? When we talk about anger and pain and grief, which is,
yes,
they all go hand in hand. Sometimes they need to be addressed differently. So like when my dad and my brother passed, I was mad, I was hurt, I was grieving. But to address that, I probably would cry. If something happened, let's say for instance, I lost my job and I would be angry. I might have to address that in a different way. Some people use physicality. Maybe a man might go hit the punching bag, drive the car. They'll drive like 250 miles down the road type of thing. Not to say that that's safe, but I think the depending on the situation, we would handle that differently. So for some, it might be something going on that angered me, and I might have to just woosah, just stop, go take a bath, go lay down. So I think your tool chest is going to be a little bit bigger than you think, because you're going to handle all of those different situations differently. I think you don't handle them all the same way. So I think that's important to pay attention to as well, that when you have a situation, don't think you're just going to breathe your way through every single thing. That might not be appropriate. Maybe you need to have a good, long, half an hour cry. Have you ever done that? And that's not weak, and that's for men too. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to add that to determining what you are angry, grieving, or what the pain is, and then develop a way to address that appropriate to the situation.
And I want to just take a moment to talk about what happens when you don't. When you don't have tools, when you don't apply a new way, so it's a couple of things I want to share here. Of course, the physical symptoms, right? The symptoms can get worse. So women's bodies are more vulnerable to stress-related disorders, migraines, fibromyalgia, irritable bowel syndrome, conditions worsened by anger, and are 2 to 3 times more common in women. Heart disease risk. Heart disease is the number one killer of women. And we know where our heart is, right? And let me just say, your heart is at the midpoint of your higher self and your lower self. Your heart is stationed right in between. So we're constantly choosing our higher self or our lower self. I want to make that, make sure you know that too. Your heart is in that middle space. So the choices that you're making around why you love, who you love, those motivations are also part of the process. And because it's the number one killer of women, we need to make sure that we're giving it attention, dealing with heart issues, relationship issues, making sure that we deal with those and don't hold them for prolonged periods of time. Remember the frequency. Now the vibration is how long you hold that space, hold the intention in that space. So common symptoms are sometimes overlooked with heart disease. Anger and hostility double the risk of hypertension and ischemic heart disease in women, especially Black women, African American women. So these are some of the consequences. The other two, inflammation and autoimmune burden. Women experience autoimmune disease at rates 2 to 10 times higher than men, and chronic anger and stress amplifies inflammation pathways that worsen the conditions. And lastly, muscle and tension in the body. Women are more likely to report physical pain linked to unresolved trauma or emotional strain, reinforcing the body's role as a messenger when emotions go unspoken. So when you hide and you keep it to yourself and you're not allowing your sister circle, people who love you, to help anchor you during this time, it's a consequence to it. It's a consequence to setting it aside. It's a consequence to constantly putting people ahead of you, your health, and other things ahead of your health. It is, and I've heard this said multiple times, your health is your wealth. If you're not capable of physically participating, it can impact your ability to accumulate wealth in multiple ways. So there are consequences to setting you aside. And we want you not to do that. We want you to have enough tools to make that transition and transform. Ma'at, is there anything you want to share to link all of this that we had together before we close?
Something that popped in my mind about tools is doing yoga, tai chi, qigong. Those are exceptional methods. And regardless as to whether you have a health challenge or any physical challenge, they are all non-invasive physically. And there's a deeper physical and spiritual connection between the mind and the body as it relates to those practices. So I think those are absolutely excellent because you use a slow physical movements, but it also addresses your mental, emotional, and spiritual balancing. That's the purpose of it. And you develop more physical strength as well. So that's one thing that we didn't talk about, but I think that would be an excellent start, an excellent tool to put into your tool chest because it addresses all of them at the same time.
Awesome. So give us a quick picture of some of the tools that you use and how people can come for Relationship First Aid or come for other services that you offer.
So in Relationship First Aid, which is a personal development program that I have, I assist people in doing self-analysis, inner work. And that's the very thing we're talking about. The anger, the fear, the judgment, the guilt, all that is lurking deep within. I assist people in addressing those in a non-emotionally invasive way. And once you start to identify what's eating you on the inside, then you can start to identify what's eating you up on the outside. If you need to contact me, you can email me at relationshipfirstaid@yahoo. My website is Relationship First Aid. Facebook, Relationship First Aid.
And thank you. Also, for my work, I have workshops that have personal workshops that you can find on my website at yourinspiredjourney.com. You'll find those under my workshop. And so when people inquire about certain workshops, it's more telling for me to put them together because I know people are ready for it. And our work is around people who are ready to hear it and ready to apply new tools because they're tired. They're tired of going through without any resources and the help that they really need. This is what we do. And so, and in our network, if we can direct you to who you need to connect to for whatever journey you're on. Okay. So know that. And then, finally, I also do one-on-one personal coaching. So I do personal coaching, and you can reach out to me for that at 313-759-7855. That's 313-759-7855. How we work together is triggered by what you want to work on. And some things come out, as we're in our sessions. This is Vermont too. Some of the things that come out that you don't know that you need. And so this is why we do what we do. We're very experienced. I have over 30 years. I'm not going to say.
Yeah, we don't do numbers.
It's at least at that number. So we are experienced practitioners. And so we want to see you happy. We want to see you succeed. We want to see you thrive. And we are a part of this network of what that means to be in that space, have been in that space, and what we want to see happen for you. So know that we are a part of your tribe. If what we say resonates with you, we're a part of your tribe, and we can help you connect to those who are also a part of your tribe. Get connected. Do not isolate. This is not the season for isolation. This is the season for expansion. And if you don't do it willingly, trust me, you will become a tube of toothpaste that gets squeezed at the bottom until what you need pops out the top. Your awareness comes out the top. So you don't have to have the pressure to shift you. Allow yourself to naturally flow into the spaces that you need to be in. So be encouraged. I want you to know that August 31st, She Can Too. Look it up. Find it, get connected. You'll find it on social media. You'll find that part moving around in our community. Embrace it. Embrace it for you. Embrace it for your daughters. Embrace it for those girls that are in your program or those women that are looking up to you. Embrace it. Let us keep rising and seeing that message reoccurring in us for our own healing. And it is the end of part 2, Consequences of Pain and Anger on Your Mind, Body, and Spirit. We have decided to do part 3. Part 3 will deal with our spiritual healing. So, of course, that's going to be super intense. So I hope you are taking your notes, reflecting on the information that we're sharing. And if you have questions, please reach out at 313-759-7855. Listen to us again on Podcastic or on my YouTube channel, which is Dr. Hetheru Miller, Personal Change Coach. You can find all of our episodes there, the full episodes. And so we're looking forward to seeing you next week. And what I'm asking you, stay clear.
She tells all of her children that they must solve problems. She explains the power and the dynamic that she carries throughout life, the impact that she holds in this world. She Can Too by Emi Apparel. She can run. She can hoop. She can lead. She can love. There are not many things that she can't do. But one thing's for sure. Her power is unapologetic, and her work is relentless. On August 31st, Amy Apparel drops She Can Too,